Well, gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Diablo 4. Okay, everybody take a deep breath, sit down, and listen for a second. It is possible that Blizzard Entertainment, modern Blizzard Entertainment, might have listened to feedback and might have actually made changes. I'm not kidding. There's two things that I really appreciate from a studio. Two things that will at least slowly start earning you respect from me. One is the ability to listen, and two is the ability to actually spark and make change from community feedback. This was sent to me yesterday during my stream, so it had to wait until this morning. Diablo 4 Open Beta Retrospective, transforming feedback into change. I read the title. I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't know. Maybe it's a new Blizzard. I can't believe I just said that out loud. This first paragraph is saying that we hope you all had fun. We looked at all your feedback and we can't wait to get the game in a better state for June 6th launch. So let's talk about some changes that they want to make to the game, starting with dungeons and dungeon layout specifically. One of those common pieces of feedback we received is that players felt they were doing a lot of backtracking within certain dungeons. This is true. We optimized multiple dungeons across all zones to minimize the number for backtracking. Here's a list of the dungeons specifically in the Fractured Peaks zone, which received updates. And I'm not going to read through all of them, but a bunch of them. So a lot of times you got to collect a certain amount, you got to kill a certain amount, and you're running in circles trying to find it so that you could actually complete the dungeon. Very, very agitating. So it's good that they listened to that feedback and they made a change. Dungeon events. The chance for an event to spawn inside of a dungeon has increased from 10%. So previously it was a 1 in 10 of you interacting with an event. And now it's going to be over 1 in 2. 60% increase to have a dungeon event, which is great. Now you just need a ton of dungeon events, so you get a little randomness in there. Dungeon gameplay. Now in here, I don't want to read through all of this, okay? But just a small example. To reduce the need to backtrack, small numbers of straggling monsters will seek out the player to help complete and kill all monster objectives. So instead of you finding them, they will find you. Actually seems like a good idea, or maybe just minimize just a little bit. So like if you miss 1 or 2, you don't have to find those monsters. Moving over to classes. General. Effects like stun and freeze can be applied to elite monsters twice as long before they become unstoppable. Reviewed class skills to confirm that all classes have access to sufficient skills that remove control impairing effects. Many legendary powers have had updates to their effectiveness. That is a very general statement. What does that mean? Now, let's actually look at individual classes. The Barbarian, okay, is getting a flat 10% passive damage reduction and has been added for the Barbarian class. Some skill tree passives have their damage reduction effects reduced to compensate. But that's great. That means you're no longer having to spend those points and you could put them in a different place. They've updated Whirlwind. They've updated Double Swing. So the Barbarian is tougher. Take that. Druid's companion skills will now deal heavily increased damage. So companions are now stronger, probably because they're trying to get them to compete with minions from the Necromancer. All ultimate skills have had their cooldowns reduced, and just some basic non-shape-shifting skills or transform Druid back into human form. Okay, Necromancer, big stuff right here. Summoned minions will die more often. Another way of putting this would be that their life has been nerfed, requiring players to utilize corpses more often. Many bonuses to the Book of the Dead have had their stats increase. That's great because the Book of the Dead almost useless. The damage dealt by corpse explosion skill has been reduced. My corpse explosion build. And last but not least, again, listening to player feedback, the brightness of the skeleton warriors and mages has been reduced. Okay, this is good. It is going in the right direction. Previously to the playtests in March, we had gameplay from the Necromancer. Just bring back those minions, okay? Unless you're going to like sell those for MTX or something like that. Rogue upgraded the skill, subterfuge skills have had their bonuses increased, multiple passive skills, basically nothing for the Rogue. Sorcerer, charge bolts damage was increased and the mana cost has been decreased. Decrease the damage of chain lightning and reduce the effectiveness against bosses. Dude, chain lightning was off the hook. Inside of the UI, now there was something I expected to see in here, if you call it UI, I think it is. And that was map overlay. Spoiler warning, there's nothing in here for map overlay. Fix an issue where the built-in screen reader was not reading key prompts. Fix an issue where actions could not be bound to the mouse wheel. Fix an issue where evade couldn't be bound to the right analog stick. Chat will now display on the left side of the screen while using a centered configuration. Character stats will now be displayed by default on the click and material stats. Move the character inputs so you can now be mapped to one button while primary attack is now mapped to a second button. Now this one I don't fully understand. The move and interact inputs can now be mapped to one button while the primary attack input is mapped to a second button. Left click in any modern ARPG should be left click and then you have a separate skill button. Okay, you never want your movement to do anything. It acts as a terrible play experience. Encounters fixed multiple issues that allowed bosses like the Butcher to become unresponsive. Check this out. The Butcher has now been reevaluated for difficulty and will present a greater challenge in World Tier 3 and 4. You thought the Butcher was hard, now it's going to be a greater challenge. Cellars increase the chance for dungeon events to occur in cellars. We know that dungeon events are going to happen more often. Quality of life. Fix an issue where players could increase attack speed by move canceling. Fix an issue where characters weren't immune and untargetable. The reset dungeon button has been disabled. Oh, I don't know if that's a good one. Fix an issue that caused Gale Valley. Yeah, it's not a big one. Tune in for the next update on Diablo 4 Developers Update livestream, April 20th, which is 5 days away. And what do we got? Oh, we got Rikers. They're going to be the guest host. They should. The host they normally have is not good. I'd rather have Riker. So that's it. Not a huge feedback update, but Barbarian should be tankier. It now is. Necromancer, Corpse Explosion was basically broken and the minions looked crazy. They listened and made those adjustments. People in the dungeons didn't like having to backtrack, and they fixed that as well. Random events inside of the dungeon, we wanted more, and they gave that to us. And overall, there's still a laundry list of expectations and wants from the community. But anytime a studio moves in the right direction, I think it's important to give accolades. So Blizzard Entertainment, thank you for listening to the community, and I hope more is on the way, specifically around a map overlay. That is required for a modern action RPG of the last decade. That's the video. One question, okay? Very simple. This is what I want you to leave on your comments. What on here was not fixed that you want to see fixed from Blizzard? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 asks at the end of this video. Ask number 1. Hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. Hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I truly mean it, only if you think I deserve it as we move through 2023. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 62 members that have signed up. Become an instant ARPG VIP and get Patreon exclusive content at the first link in the description. Weekly blog post, weekly live stream, access to the VIP lounge so you can chit chat with me every day, chance to win custom merch, chance to stream with me, lots of goodies. First link in the description. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron out.